everyone. I'm just busy working through my this month's Wargamers Anonymous painting challenge for August. It's cavalry, and as my previous video, I'm doing a unit of Cuirassiers for my French Napoleonics. I thought this might be a good opportunity to try and do a painting tutorial, or maybe it's a how I paint sort of guide, since I've got some fresh miniatures to paint. I thought I might give it a go. I'm not sure what format this is going to take. I don't know if I'm going to just record the whole thing as I paint it, or fast forward bits, or cut and skip bits along. We'll just see how it goes. I don't even know if I might overlay my voice afterwards, depending on how much rubbish I spout and if my hands are in the way of the camera all the time. So we'll give it a shot and we'll see how we get on. If you've got any feedback, let me know how I can improve. I've got this set up in my light box with the camera stand in front. I don't know how easy it's going to be for me to paint. It seems all right in theory, but we'll probably not know until I actually try and put a brush to the model. So I've done a test piece. So this is my first cavalryman, first Cuirassier. I'm doing it as part of the 5th Regiment, so they've got the Aurora orange there on the various places, collars, cuffs, turnbacks, shabrack and stuff like that. So hopefully that's coming out okay. Obviously I haven't painted the horse yet. It's not my poor attempt at a white horse. So yeah, that's what I'm aiming for, and what I'll hopefully show you how to get to. Obviously 18mm AB, fairly small, as you can see by the size of my finger compared to them, but hopefully this will show you my process at least. So that's what we're going to aim for. I've got I'm using a wet palette here. This is the Red Grass Everlasting wet palette. I kickstarted this a couple of years back, and it's a really nice wet palette. I would recommend it. So I've got a fresh sheet on here. There's plenty of videos on how you sort of set your wet palette up if you're not familiar with it, but effectively it's a sponge with some paper on the top. You can use sort of I've used in the previous life in baking sheet, when I did a homemade one, and I've got some water in there. You probably can't see, but the sponge is sopping wet, but the paper on the top's damp, but it's you don't want pools of water on there, because when you put your paint on and you know it'll just flood with the water and you'll just have runny paint. So you probably can't see, but there is some water in there to keep it moist. And this is the figure I'm going to paint. Another Cuirassier in a slightly different pose to the one that I've just shown you, but close enough. Again, I'll probably do the horse at the end, so we'll work through him, and we'll see how we get on. I don't know if the way I'm going to do it's the most efficient way or not. I've only painted one so far, but we'll give it a stab. Hopefully this is coming out all right, and hopefully I can paint it. So here we go. So first of all, I prime all my Napoleonics white, because obviously it's quite a colourful period and it's nice to get the colours to pop. It does pose a slight challenge with the Cuirassiers, with their cuirass being metallic, being shiny silver, and obviously white is not the most ideal background base color to put silver on. So first color is going to be black, and there's nothing to the wet palette. I'll just put a little dab or two down. Oh, brush wise, I have in the past predominantly used Raphael brushes, and very nice they are too. They are quite expensive, and I've had real trouble getting hold of any in the current, I don't know if it's the current climate because of COVID or what, but it did send me out on an adventure, and I've picked up these brushes by Rosemary & Co, and they are much more reasonable price. These are series 96. I've got 0 down to 000, and hopefully you can see the points are very nice, and they are lasting very well so far. So I would recommend these if you're looking for new reasonable brushes to pick up. So I've got a little bit of water on my brush, just thinning this black down a little bit. So I'm going to start with black. I was trying to get a bit of water for the end there. Touch the side. So let's zoom in, see how this is gonna go. Okay, so I'm trying not to clip the thing. So we're gonna paint the cuirass. We're gonna give it a black. Of course, need a bit more water. This is gonna be interesting. I'm sorry you can't see the wet palette and the model at the same time. I just do our best. So we're gonna get this cuirass sort of based in black. We are. I try to be neat. It's absolutely not the end of the world at this stage because we're going to go over a lot of things and a lot of different colours. However, I do find there'll be less cleanup. Paint on my thumb now, good. Less paint, less cleanup if we can try and stay neat and tidy. So we're doing the cuirass here. The straps are gold, so we're doing that. We're going to basically do anything that's metal or that's going to be black at the end of the day. So we can work on his boots here. And of course, we'll just get the stirrups while we're at it because they're going to be silver. So I'm just trying to get down the side here, down the back of the boot. So that's his boot. I'll do the sword in a second. I just don't really want to. I'm likely to touch the sword or knock the sword, so we'll come back to that. So we've got the back of the cuirass here. We've got the pouch as well, all black. And like I say, I'm not particularly worried if I get some overspill. And I'll just say that regardless, in case I mess up on camera and hit everything and make a right old mess of it. But hopefully this is not too unreasonable for you all to see. It's a bit awkward getting to my water now, but there we go. I'll just thin this down. It's still quite warm here in the UK, so paint's drying quite quickly. We have the other boot here. Get down here. This sword scabbard is all silver, so we can just block all that in. And then we've got the other, it's getting a bit tricky now, the other back section of the cuirass. So that's looking okay, and then there's a lot on the helmet, so we're going to do the cap and the band of fur, and of course all the hair that comes down. So we'll get that nicely filled in. Yeah, I don't know how much of that you've seen. I've just been not watching the camera. So it is interesting trying these painting tutorials. So we're almost there. Do the sword. And a bit of the hilt here, which is gold. And how's that looking? So yeah, I'd say it's a bit of a pain priming it white and then having to block in black straight away, but I think it's not too much of a hardship, and it's worth doing for getting the silver to pop. I suppose last little bit as well we can try while we're here is he's got some chin straps. So again, I'm just gonna, they're very thin, so it's not the end of the world if we don't get all the black on them. Well, there we go. Right. So there is our, I can put it in there, I suppose. First colour done. Next colour we're going to go in with is Vallejo Heavy Red. So this is for, I don't know the name of what it actually is, but there's some red trim that sort of sticks out from behind the cuirass, and the epaulets are red, so just thin this down ever so slightly. And then we'll come back here. So we have got we've got some epaulets here. The heavy red's quite nice. It's part of the what they're called, opaque game, extra opaque. I think Games Workshop came out with their own sort of idea, or maybe it's Vallejo copied. They've got extra sort of pigment in there, so they're great for base coating things, getting a good colour down. So we've got the epaulets, and we've got the little doodah trim that goes around there, and it also sticks out from the back of the collar. and around the front. So the regiment's colour does sit on their collar, but this little ruffle does go all the way around. And there is a little bit at the bottom of the cuirass. Hopefully you can see. Just like a little bit of a skirt around the back. Oh, sorry. Okay, we might be able to see it from this end. Straining my eyes just trying to see. So let's have a look. So we'll see how we get on with that, okay? I think that's all the red from recollection, so that's not too bad. And we will move on to the next colour. Okay, so next colour is Imperial Blue. This is for his jacket, his habit. I'd normally put a bit more paint out if I was obviously painting more than just the one figure. There's no point in wasting it. Okay. So pretty obvious where this goes, around his arms. They do have gloves on. So just leave those bits. Hey, make sure to get my hands out of the picture. Sometimes you might need 2 coats of this blue to get a really nice solid finish. We'll see what happens when it dries. And then the other bit of blue is the shabrack. And the half shabrack. So I could be a bit quicker here, I could be a little bit less neat, but I'm just trying to save myself a bit of cleanup time later on. There is obviously a happy medium there, so just do whatever works best for you. There will be undoubtedly some tidy up afterwards, but that's okay. And then in here, and that is about as much blue as you're going to get on these guys. Not very much for the French boys, but there we go. Paint enough of it on the infantry, so not complaining. Yeah, almost missed it. So they have got short tails on here, so let's get that in there. The turnbacks will be the regiment's colour of your choice. So I'm doing the 5th here, so this side is sort of hidden by a lot of the webbing, the straps, so we'll just do our best to get in there, and we'll neaten the straps up afterwards. And there's going to be a little bit sticking out just there of the Aurora colour and a bit of brown for the saddle, But other than that, I'm happy. Okay. Okay, so we've got a few little bitty colours now, smaller bits, so we're gonna do his pants in bone white here. Oh, knocking at everything. Let's try that. Again, really don't need very much. This colour's quite runny as it is, so I don't think I need an extra water. Let's zoom back in. So we're just gonna quickly rip round his legs. The same for this side. So there's really nothing special here, just standard. Get all the primary or the base colours down, and we'll give them a wash, and then we'll highlight back up again. So that's that colour. We can come in now with the regimental colour. So for that Aurora colour, I'm using this, get my fingers out of the way, bronze Fleshtone. Again, because this one's slightly less opaque, I'm trying to use it a bit thicker straight out of the pot. Get that dark, get that colour down there where we need it. Could have done a better job of the blue there. We can go back and add some blue in a second. So we've got the turnbacks there. Now this side's a little bit tricky because of the straps, but there's a little bit there. And really the strap's going to cover the other section, so there's only that little bit there. And then, like I mentioned, depending on the regiment that you're doing and the number, you may or may not want the collars done, I think. But we're getting those in there. Just a dash around there. Try and get his chin a little bit. You've also got the edge in here on the shabrack has the regimental colours as well. So get stuck in there. And on this side, so dead easy. That'll do. So hey, that's a bit on the blue, never mind. We'll touch up. We need to come back in with the blue anyway. And you can see, or you might be able to see, or might not, the blue needs a second coat there, so we can touch up there. So that one's okay. So kind of the benefit of having the wet palette is I've got the blue on the palette, so I can come straight back in and I haven't lost any or wasted any. So we can neaten that bit up. And we can put a bit more on his arm just to make sure we've got a nice thick colour, strong colour. And then we can fix this awful mistake here. Okay. Going in with a little Beasty brown. This is just on the saddle. There's just a little bit of brown here that we want. And you can just see some on there. face, I use Dwarf skin. Again, this is not a great colour opacity wise, so I tend to put it on quite heavy. Around on his ears, back of his head. Easy peasy, no bother. We're not far off from doing some metallics and getting us on the home straight to the wash. So last couple of colours. I've got a bit of, it's hard to see, Stonewall grey. This is just for his coat at the back. It's on the here, just to, it's not far off the white, to be honest, but it does make a difference, and with the wash we'll get a bit of, that'll darken that down. So I'm leaving the sheepskin on his shabrack there. All I want to do, and I could do it in black, but I've got a bit of some black grey here. There's a tiny little line that separates the two halves there. So just gonna try and get that in there. We'll do the same on this side if I can get my brush in. And I can see it, it's hard to see this one side, like that. What I tend to do as well is, if he's got any reins, like in this hand here, I just give those a little, I quite often just fix those up with the, when I'm doing the horse, get those to match. Okay. So I think we're ready for some metallics. We could do, we'll do the metallics next, then we'll do those, and then I think there's one more colour just for the hair. I will do the hair now, why not? So this is neutral grey. And I don't need much. So what we're going to do with this is we're going to use this to highlight the horse mane now on the back of his head. So what I'm actually going to try and do is do some kind of like light dry brushing. So I'm just using the side of the it's a bit too much paint on there. Use your thumb if it's just to check. So I'm just using the side of the brush just to try and, I don't know if this is coming out at all on the camera, grab those raised edges. And what we can do, if we feel like we've gone too far, or we've highlighted too much, or we've made a mess of it, is we can always come in with a black wash. And it will dull it down. So I'll just sort of catch some of these top edges here. It's a little tuft at the top. See, that's looking quite stark, so we might black that down a little bit. Now, don't want to forget the inside of it either, so we're just gonna try and highlight some of this, a slight sort of dry brush motion on the side of the bristles. And the only other thing is that this sort of hair here, this fur on the side of the hat, just sort of try and roughly pick that out and give it a bit of texture. So that is that. Okay, so we're on to the metallics. I'm going to use gunmetal grey. It actually says gunmetal metal. Never noticed that before. I was going to say gunmetal grey, but gunmetal metal. Just use a bit of water to thin that down, especially since that came out a bit lumpy. Let's zoom in again. I really hope this is coming out bright enough. Oh, we'll see. Okay, so obvious bits first. Cuirass. And around the back here. And the scabbard for the sword. Just a little touch for the stirrups. We've got the dome of his helm. See if I can get the brush in. And we've got the sword. Oh, and he's come off his base. Is there anything else for the silver? I think that's looking good. I'll just put this guy back on his base and we'll come and do the gold. Right. Now we're going to come in with some glorious gold. So what have we got here? We've just got really, it's going to be a bit awkward to capture on camera, the crest of the helm here. We've got the hilt of the sword. And we've got the straps. And they sort of sit under the white sling there. So, oh, and we've got also the chin strap. Okay. Okay, we're getting there. We're making some progress. I think that's all the main colours blocked in. So what we're going to do is next we're going to do some washes and then we will highlight back up. Okay, so we're going to do 2 washes. 3 actually, 3. So we've got Agrax Earthshade here. And I want to use this. Actually, I use Agrax on gold pretty much all the time, but in this instance, what I want to do is let's see if I get this in a better position. Hang on. This pot's going to get knocked over. Using it to wash the sheepskin from the Shabrak and his breeches. Nothing to, I'm not flooding it or anything like that. I'm just getting a nice pick up. The sheepskin's good because it's got a lot of dimples in it and catches that quite nicely. And then and we can try and get a bit of this on the on any sort of major goldy bits. And I'm going to come in with a different black wash in a second. So that's it for the Agrax, and then I'm really running low on this one. Black wash. And this one's sort of all over. I don't want it to pool too much, so especially like on the gloves, on the gauntlets there, I'm gonna have to come back in and brighten those up again. So I don't want, it's sort of pointless having it on the raised areas, so don't let it sit too much. All of the basically all the rest of the model. Nothing special about this. Just get that. Any of the silver less shiny knocked back a bit. We don't want it too bright. And because I think the hair's a bit bright, the grey went on a bit thick, we can knock some of that down with there. So that is it. We've got a black wash everywhere, and then the last wash is just on the face, and I use Vallejo's Flesh wash. I've moved away from most of Vallejo's washes. That I think Games Workshop stuff's, their washes are better, but I still like this Flesh wash. Again, just sort of slap that on. Picks up the all the facial details really nicely. Okay, so that's it done for now. The wash sort of ties everything together and hides any of the mistakes and sort of blends it all together. So next we'll come in with some highlights and we'll bring this all back up again. So that'll do it for now. All right, It's been about 10 minutes. It's nice and warm still in UK, so we are flying. It's so yeah, the wash is it's darkened everything down, but at the same time it's sort of brought everything together. So what we're going to do is we're just going to highlight back up. We're going to use pretty much the same colors that we've already used, so only really the red, because I want it to be very bright, that will change. But so I'll just work back along, if I work back along my palette. We can maybe do some highlights of gold, silver to make the cuirass stat pop a bit more. We could use the grey back on the coat, although I'm not particularly bothered. The flesh colour, just to bring out any highlights. The aurora for the regimental colour, because it's dulled that down quite a bit. Brown for the saddle, bone white for his breeches, blue for his jacket, and that's about it. Yeah, and we'll do the red to highlight off, and then we'll do some white, well, off white to do the straps and around the shabrack and stuff like that. So we could start with some gold. Let's zoom back in. So we can just sort of pick out some of the gold straps on his cuirass, just to bring it back up a little bit. Not too much really, just to catch any of the highlights. And I'll be lazy. No, I don't tend to change the water. I'm lazy for the metallics. I think 18 mil. I'm using such little amounts of metallics that I don't tend to find any metallic pigment in the water, but each to their own. So we're just gonna bring the cuirass back up to nice shiny colour. It's all quite very dull at the minute. Just not going all the way to the edge of everything, leaving a bit of shadow. And then sword wise, I normally just whip along the top edge just to catch the highlight. Same with the scabbard for the sword, just a sort of dry brushy motion almost. A tiny bit on his helmet. So that'll do for the metallics. Like I say, we'll just work along. We could come in with the flesh tone. What I'll do is I'll just pick his nose and his cheeks and his chin. He's got a moustache, so we'll do that in a minute as well. Mustn't forget the moustache. And we've got our brown for the saddle. So I just want to try and bring that up a little bit. Is there any on this side? Just a smidge on this side. Normally I'm painting in batches of, well, whatever the unit is. I'm doing 18 Cuirassiers, so normally colour changes wouldn't be quite so frequent as this, but it's all good. So Aurora regimental colour back in. So we've got the turnbacks. I just want to brighten them back up again, you see. Well, I hope you can see. I should check the camera. And there's a little bit around the collar. Yep. We can touch the highlights there. Now we're at the bone bone white. So back to the breeches. So again, I'm always just leaving a bit in the recesses just want to highlight the tops. We can use that as a chance to neaten any bits up as well. Going a bit heavier with that. Come in, second pass. Blue. I'm running out of blue, to be honest, so let's put him back for a second. Let's put a dab. Just a dab. So just gonna sort of take the highlight at the top sort of edges of his jacket. Nothing fancy, and then bring this shabrack back up. Try and neaten that square up, and we'll risk it for a biscuit. We'll try and tidy just in this back of this. Yep, looking good. Okay, so the only colour I am going to add in is Bloody Red. So the heavy red's great. Like I said, it's a extra opaque one, but it is quite dull, especially with a wash on it. Even so, even if I brought it back up with that, we wouldn't be where we want to be. So I've got this Bloody Red, and I'm just gonna take this down the little sticky out bits. And pick out the epaulets, so just around the top edge, and then try and draw and catch some of the bits coming down. And then it's got back of the neck. And might be hard to see, but there is that little fringe at the bottom. And it sticks out the bottom of this cuirass here as well. So, of course, blue tack's moving. So let's have a look. So hopefully you can see that's popping a bit more than just the heavy red, and there is also a tiny bit going around his neck as well. Okay, so that's that. And now the last colour, I think, is going to be Off White. So tend never to use white. Itself. I really like the Off White. The normal white's just too stark. So we are going to just catch this this cross belt that goes across here. So gotta be just very careful, very steady. And I think for just what this is, just the size of it, I think it really sort of ties it all in quite nicely. Actually, the white bits just make it pop. So just take your time and get that highlighted up nicely. Look at the back, looking good. Right, the tricky bits. So you need to be nice and steady here and not behind the camera, and balancing and the blue tack moving. And we want to just draw some nice neat lines. You want to have a nice consistency for the paint, so the paint runs, but it's not too wet that it goes everywhere. Okay, and then we're just gonna box this. Box that in. There's some little straps at the back here, and I tend to just run and then same on this side. Nice and steady. Try not to mess up, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because we can just go back in. Okay, I tend to do the last little bits of the and then I think the final bit is just these gloves, so get those gloves popping. Same here. Again, I'm just sort of almost dry brushing, just to catch the highlights. And there goes the printer. Good timing as usual. Someone sends someone at the printer. So yeah, I think I was just saying, just try and almost drag the brush. We're just trying to pick up the highlights, the high areas, the strap, and there's a little bit of the straps for the sword. And I think we're getting pretty close. So we'll see if I just grab a little bit of this grey that I've got left. Let's see if we can give this boy a moustache. It's a bit like a Mario moustache. It's pretty thick there, but that looks okay, I think. And I think we're about there. So if I bring in, where did I put the other chap? So yeah, that was worth doing. One last bit. So there is, back to the white here, there is these red frilly bits do have just an edging of white on the outside edge. So again, just very neatly, just catch the edge of the brush. It goes around his ruffle around his neck, and same with the back. So you can always, what I tend to do is draw a line on my thumb just to make sure we're not overloaded with paint. And then we can just catch that back edge. Same with this one. And around his neck. There we go. Okay. Two cuirassiers done. 16 more to go. Okay. I hope that was some use to you. I hope it came out and it wasn't too dark and dingy. Obviously the light box, and I've got lights blaring and it's bright as anything for me, but looking at the screen it's not quite so bright, so we'll have to see. But yeah, if you've got any questions or comments, let me know. Let me know if the format was any good. We'll see maybe if I could do some more in the future. But that's it for now. Take care everyone. See you later. Bye bye.